If you're selling a condo in mint condition and you're well priced, it's a great market. The off-market properties jumped a little over 11%. Brooklyn, higher demand than we would typically see. Welcome to this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market, where I take a look at the luxury market, the Manhattan market, and the Brooklyn market. I do it because I want you to be informed. It never hurts when you're a consumer to be informed. Welcome to this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market. This is for the week of August 21st to the 27th. We're going to be looking at what happened last week in the luxury market, the Manhattan market, and the Brooklyn market. Then I'm going to sum it all up, give you my thoughts, my takeaways. This market has changed a lot in the last few weeks, few months, and it is a very challenging market. So if you are a buyer or a seller, or you own property in New York City, or you're just curious about what goes on here, you're going to want to stick around for this because there is plenty to know and plenty to take away. Okay, we're going to get started as we always do with the luxury market. There were 11 contracts signed last week for properties that were priced at $4 million and above. One of those contracts was for a property that was priced at $10 million and above. 11 contracts represents our worst week in the luxury market all year. That is 8 fewer than the week before. There were 9 condos. There was 1 co-op in this group and 1 townhouse. 8 of these properties were uptown. 1 was downtown. The number 1 contract that was signed last week was Penthouse 88 at 157 West 57th Street. It was asking $34 million. It was reduced from $45 million when it was listed back in June of 2022. This is a condo. It has a little over 6,200 square feet. It includes 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. It has a rather enormous great room, 52 feet by 26 feet. It also has a 30-foot master bedroom, and both of these rooms have gorgeous views of Central Park. This is a 90-story building. It has 90 units. It was built above the Park Hyatt Hotel. It has a separate entrance for the hotel rooms, and the amenities include the use of the hotel services, which include a fitness center, a pool, private dining, library lounge, performance space, and a garage. The seller paid $28 million back in May of 2020. The number 2 contract was Unit 1103 at 225 West 86th Street. It was asking $8.35 million. It is a pre-work condo. It is in one of my very favorite buildings on the Upper West Side, a building called the Belle Nord. We'll talk more about that in a few moments. This condo has a little over 3,100 square feet. It includes 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms. It has a 26 by 17 foot great room, 17-foot eat-in kitchen. As I said, the building is called the Belle Nord. It is a pre-war rental building that became a condo building, and the renovation was overseen by Robert A.M. Stern. The amenities include doormen, fitness center, children's playroom, and lounge. Some of you may have seen the Belle Nord recently if you watch a series on Hulu called Only Murders in the Building, starring Steve Martin and Martin Short. The facade of the building is definitely featured, and the courtyard as well. And so a lot of people now are quite aware of the Belle Nord. It is an absolutely stunning building, and I'm sure this is a beautiful apartment. So we're going to shift over and take a look at the stats for last week. The total weekly asking price sales volume, 96,694,000. Average asking price, 8,790,364. Median asking price, 5,950,000. Average discount from original ask to last asking price, 10%. Average days on market, 624. Okay, well, Not a great showing last week in the luxury market. As I said, this is the worst performance in the luxury market for the entire year. Very likely to do with this seasonal slowdown, very typical of what we would normally see this time of year. But let's keep an eye on this as we go forward. We're going to take a look now at what happened last week in Manhattan. In the meantime, if you have any questions at all, please post those below. So if we take a look at last week in terms of the supply and the contract signed in the off market in Manhattan, we see that the supply is down a little bit. 156 properties came on the market, down almost 2%. Contracts signed down a little over 2%. 179 contracts were signed. The off market properties jumped a little over 11%, 157. Of course, this means that there were properties that were sitting on the market. They didn't sell. Those sellers took them off because they weren't getting the traction that they wanted. Will they put them back on in the fall? Probably, unless they decided they're not going to sell at all, or maybe they're going to just rent those out. We're going to take a look at the 1 month view in Manhattan. This is a little bit, perhaps a more complete picture of what is going on. The supply 769 for the month, down almost 27%. Contracts signed 789, down a little over 10%. And off-market properties also down for the month, 739 properties, a little over 11%. If we take a look at this market pulse chart, this is an important chart, but as I've said before, even though it shows that we have risen above a neutral market, appear to be in a seller's market, it's a bit misleading. The factors that are really influencing this are the supply and the demand. And what is happening here in the market is that the supply is falling faster than the demand. So is this really a seller's market in Manhattan? No, it's really not. We're going to take a closer look as we look at this liquidity pace chart. You'll see what I mean. You can see that as we look at this 30-day moving window of contracts signed, 789. This time of year, we should be in the low 800s. So is this terrible? No, it's not. And you can see we're at the end of this chart in July. It's down, but it's not down as much as the inventory. So yes, when we look at the supply, it just continues to drift lower. We will likely see it continue along these lines until Labor Day. The demand, after crossing 2022's level, the trend in Manhattan just continues a bit sideways. As I said, we're basically holding fairly steady. That's the good news. But we're not seeing a huge amount of demand. We're not falling off a cliff either. So that's the good news. As far as the new listings go, again, this time of year, the weekly new listings have dropped off, and that is normal and likely to continue until after Labor Day. The contracts signed, that number dropped just slightly, and last week was one of the quietest weeks of the year. This is an interesting chart. Our data is delayed about 3 months. This makes it a real challenge for sellers and their brokers, people like me, to accurately predict pricing in terms of putting a property on the market and accurately determining what the asking price should be, because if we don't have absolute up-to-the-minute data, it's really hard to know exactly where things are going to trade. So despite the somewhat erratic spring season and this kind of typical summer softness, this predicted price action based on the asking price, because that's kind of where we're at right now with this chart, it appears that we've had a kind of a downturn in price action, but it is relatively mild. So this is a chart that shows Manhattan resale condo price per square foot. This is a rolling 3-month average price per square foot. This kind of gives you a bit of a prediction, this red section at the end. Again, this is based on what we're seeing This red is not an absolute, it is a bit predictive. So we're looking at this to try to understand where this market is right now in July, because we don't have this data yet. So you can see it's a bit softening. Again, this is probably super helpful to sellers who are trying to understand this market. Also super helpful to buyers who are trying to figure out how much leverage they actually have with these sellers, and certainly to their brokers, to their agents, as they're trying to also figure out price adjustments and things like that. Okay, that is it for Manhattan. As always, any questions, please, please, please post them below. I'm always happy to answer any questions that you have about what's going on in the real estate market. Now we're going to take a look at what happened in Brooklyn. And remember to stick around till the end as I give you my thoughts, my strategies to help you be successful in this market. As I said, it's pretty challenging right now. So as I've been saying, the inventory also very, very low in Brooklyn. We can see the weekly supply in Brooklyn, 113 properties for the week, down a little over 12%. Contract signed 116, also down a little over 10%. Off market down almost 23%, 61 properties off market. If we look at the 1 month supply in Brooklyn, that is down almost 21%, 591 for the month. Contract signed down almost 16%, 539. Off market up a little under 1%, 317. If you look at the Market Pulse chart in Brooklyn, it's even higher and even more in that seller's market range. Different than Manhattan, though. We'll see as we get into the charts a little bit more, there is a bit more of a demand in Brooklyn, and there are even fewer sellers. So there is more pressure on the market in Brooklyn. So the Brooklyn market's actually, could say, a little stronger, a little more in the favor of the sellers. If we look at the liquidity pace chart, this 30-day moving window, as with Manhattan, we also see that the contract activity has fallen off. 539 contracts were signed over the last 30 days. It is falling off a bit. If we look at the supply, it continues to shrink. And again, there does appear to be more of a demand in Brooklyn. It ticks down. However, the overall trend does remain up. And so if you are a seller in Brooklyn and you are thinking about selling, you really may want to think strongly about doing so, because sellers are quite in demand in Brooklyn right now. If we look at the new listings, you can see the new listings remain quite low, and the contract signed, the deal volume does tick lower. It's usually the slowest period of the year, so we're not really too worried about this. Again, looking at this resale condo price per square foot, if we look at that, we can see that the price action by contract signed, the data shows the Brooklyn market notching a little bit higher, and yet the current asking price data would suggest a slight down turn ahead. Again, this is a bit predictive. We don't know 100%. It may not actually happen, because if you think about the pressure on the Brooklyn market, the fact that we don't have a lot of inventory, if that continues into the fall and a lot of sellers decide they're not going to put their properties on the market in the fall, it will likely continue to put pressure on the prices. That's it for Brooklyn. Post your questions below about Brooklyn. We're going to shift over now, and I'm going to sum this up, what I just said about the luxury market, the Manhattan market, and the Brooklyn market. And then I'm going to give you my thoughts for buyers and for sellers. Again, there are definite strategies that can help you be successful. So be sure you kind of stick around for the next few minutes. Make sure you get the benefit of that. Okay, luxury market, 11 contracts signed, 8 fewer than the week before, worst performance all year long in terms of contracts signed in the luxury market. 9 condos, 1 co-op, 1 townhouse, 8 uptown, 1 downtown. One of those contracts was at 10 million and above. Let's see what happens in the luxury market. Not impressive, but middle of August, seasonal slowdown. Let's see what happens in the coming weeks. If we take a look at the Manhattan and the Brooklyn markets, so from a supply standpoint, in Manhattan, the supply is lower than last week. It is likely to continue to fall until Labor Day. Brooklyn, it is still going down, likely also to continue to fall until Labor Day. The demand, Manhattan, seasonal slowdown, it's holding steady. Brooklyn, higher demand than we would typically see and higher than last year. We may see some seasonal downturn ahead. We'll have to kind of track this, keep an eye on it. If we look at this, what we're calling a climate index, and this is really, I think, beneficial for sellers to know. Climate index is what kind of market is this to sell into. The Manhattan market, from a climate index standpoint, is somewhat neutral, but it really depends on the kind of property you're selling. If you're selling a condo in mint condition and you're well priced, it's a great market. You're going to sell probably pretty quickly, maybe even with multiple offers. If you are selling a co-op that may need some work, or in a building that is notoriously difficult or may not allow a lot of financing, you're going to have additional challenges attracting buyers. Brooklyn is definitely more of a neutral market because of the low supply. The price action is definitely a little higher in Brooklyn. Buyers are definitely more engaged and perhaps can be a little less difficult because they just don't have as many options, sellers. If you are currently on the market, if you are still on the market, you have opted not to go off the market, and you really want to get your deal done, look at your price. If you are not getting the offers that you want, if you are not getting the showings that you want, or let's say you've got buyers that are circling, maybe they're making you offers, but you're just not really happy with those offers, I think it would be absolutely in your interest to give real thought to whether you can live with what you're being offered. That is for those, let's say, offers that are being made to you. See if there is a deal to be made with those buyers. If you are getting no offers and you're not really even getting any showings, then adjust your price. You may want to do that sooner rather than later, because once the new inventory starts to come on the market in the fall, you are going to be surrounded by a whole lot of competition, new inventory that the buyers have not yet seen, that they're going to be excited to want to see, and you are going to unfortunately be old news. And the buyers can see how many days you've been on the market, so you don't want to get caught in that. That will also hurt you. So you have a few weeks before that happens, before, let's say, after Labor Day, maybe the middle of September, when a lot of new inventory will be on the market. So try to get your deal done now. Make your price adjustment 5, 10%. Don't do anything less than 5%. Again, if you have questions, I'm here. Reach out to me. I am more than happy to help you with this. This is what I do all day long. This is what I've been doing for 23 years. I am happy to help you. So think about that. Or if you don't like this market, take your property off the market and don't bother. Because if you're not getting what you want, the market is definitely telling you something. This is not going to magically change. I'm really sorry to have to tell you that. But this is not a market that is, suddenly going to change and the fall market comes and prices are going to suddenly go way up and you're going to magically get more money. If you are planning to put your place on the market in the fall, you're not on the market yet, use this time, get your place ready, declutter, clean your windows, deep clean the apartment, make sure you take a bunch of pictures off the walls. You don't want a lot of personal things around. If you need to paint, paint. If you need to repair things, do it. The fewer the distractions, the better. If you need to stage, stage. If you need whatever you need to do, do it now. Get your pictures done, get the floor plan done, get the video done, and get on the market not later than the middle of September. Why? Because most contracts get signed by sometime in October, a little bit into November, and most buyers take 30 days to go through their cycle. They need some time to look, and they need some time to make their decision. So you want to give them some time. If you're on the market in September, that gives them time to see your place, make their decision, start making offers. Hopefully they will buy your place over the others. Buyers, your buy signal is fast approaching. It's definitely going to be before the middle of September. You're kind of almost in it now, this window of maximum opportunity. It's going to shift. It's going to, the lowest part of the market is approaching as the inventory is going down, and the sellers that are on the market just really want to get their deal done. This is your opportunity. It's going to change when more properties start coming on the market and more buyers come back into the market. So try to take this time, maybe start making some probative offers. You don't have to test it out. If you see something you like, make an offer. See if you can engage that seller. I will definitely let you know when your buy signal is absolutely here. But in the meantime, it's coming, so pay attention. This inventory is kind of what it is. It's going to be like this until after Labor Day, so don't expect a bunch of new stuff to come on. Again, on leverage, it's the properties that are on the market now, especially those that have been on the market for at least 120 days. All right, that is it. Any questions? Please reach out to me. Post them below. I don't live under a rock, so you can always reach out to me at Sotheby's. As always, I want to thank Urban Digs and the Olshan Luxury Market Report for their amazing reporting. The work that they do helps me to help you to make great decisions. I will be back next week with the very latest news on what is going on in the New York City real estate market. In the meantime, take care.